Hey friend,
Oh, hey, friend.
how are you?
I'm okay. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me
Oh,
today.
nice. Always nice to have you. What brings you in today?
Well, I came to be a little nosy to find out what you do, how you do it. Antonio?
Of course, Antonio. Always pleasure to have you. So, how can I be of service?
Well, my viewers would like to know what it's like to work in healthcare, and
Okay.
I know you're a physician assistant.
Yes, I
So
am.
tell me all about it. How does one become a physician assistant?
That's a good question. So, I've been a physician assistant for roughly, I want to say, 12 years.
Oh,
So pretty much that entails 4 years of undergrad. Get a bachelor either in biology. Doesn't really have to be biology. It could be in any sciences or any
but it must be a
general.
science.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a science. You can do English, history, but you have to have core prerequisites in
Got it.
science, pretty much. So after a 4 year degree, you have to apply to a physician assistant program. Now
Got it.
there's several physician assistant programs in New York, but there's several all over the country. So once you get accepted, which is just one hurdle, the biggest issue is completing the program, which is pretty much the toughest thing I did academically.
I
Right?
love that. But let me ask you a question. And,
Mm.
I apologize in advance if it's a
Sure.
little stupid.
No, of course, no such
Um,
thing as stupid.
I
Go ahead.
always feel like I always hear people say PA, and I
Hmm.
also hear MA, which is medical assistant. Like, what's
Hmm.
the difference between the two? Because in my head, for some reason, I
Hmm.
always assumed it was one and the same, but I'm coming
Yeah.
to realize that it's
Hmm.
not. But people use the term interchangeably.
Yes, yes. So that's a very good question. So there's a big disparity between medical assistant and physician assistant, right?
Okay,
So a medical assistant is pretty much a person who applies for maybe a certification program in a sense.
got it.
Not necessarily a certification program, but they will go to school for less years than a physician assistant would. Versus a PA is a person who would go to PA school, train in the same model or like as a medical doctor.
Got it.
It's a 2 to 3 year program,
Okay.
and you will graduate with a degree in which you can prescribe and manage and treat patients. As a versus a medical assistant, you cannot treat prescribed
Got
medications in a
it. So
sense.
is
Yeah.
it fair to say that a physician assistant is
Hmm.
like the sibling of a nurse care practitioner?
Yes, absolutely. So nurse practitioners and physician assistants, we're kind of used interchangeably. So
Got
if
it.
I'm applying for a PA position, I would commonly see nurse practitioner as well. So PA/NP. So.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Because you see, now you just broke it down for me and it
Hmm.
makes sense. Because, like, okay, so technically you are a provider with certain limitations.
Absolutely. So we're considered mid-level practitioners.
Got
So the
it.
only limitation we have is that we have to practice under the supervision of a doctor, a
Okay.
medical doctor, doctor of osteopathic medicine. Outside of that, we pretty much have autonomy with doctors in which we can do a range of different things. Physician assistant can prescribe medications, participate in certain surgeries. We see patients on our own. In fact, we have our own panel of doctors, and I mean panel of patients rather.
Got it.
So we're very instrumental in medicine, where we are the extension of the doctor in a sense, and it's a rewarding career.
I want to make sure I understood what you said. You
Mhm.
mentioned you can open your own clinic, right?
Not necessarily. I believe in certain states you can,
Okay.
but as a PA, we haven't gotten to the point where we can own and operate our own clinic. Hopefully, in
Mm-hmm.
the future,
I would love that because I
yeah.
heard good things about you. So
Yeah, yeah. Again, PAs is a great field. If anyone, I definitely encourage individuals if they are planning to become a physician assistant, because I
mhm.
feel that our profession don't get enough light, and many people do not know what a physician
Well, that's why
assistant
Hey
is.
Fween is
Yeah,
here. We're gonna
yes,
shed some light on
of
that.
course, and we appreciate that. So, and again, technically, when I started out, I wanted to be a medical doctor instead, and
Okay.
then
And what changed your mind?
well, I didn't know what a PA was. So pretty much to get into medical school, it's pretty much a great aspect to get some sort of level of exposure. So volunteer work, research. And as I volunteered at one of our local hospitals where I lived, I was shadowing a doctor. At
Mm-hmm.
least I thought he was a doctor.
Got
He
it.
was a PA because he saw patients, he did injections, he did suturing, he did pretty much everything a doctor would do. And I'm calling him doctor. He said, no, I'm a physician assistant, and it piqued my interest. He would work 9 to 5, go home, while the doctor would stay 12 hours. So that what kind of, I guess, sparked my interest in the PA profession, and the rest is history.
Okay, love that for you. Look at
Mm-hmm.
that beautiful accident.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Antonio, so
Yes.
is it fair to say that as a PA, you also have more leeway in terms of schedule?
Yes. So one of the beauties of becoming a physician assistant in my profession is that I work a 9 to 5 schedule in a sense. I don't take my work home with me in a sense. I have my set panel of patients I see from 9 to 5, and again, I don't have to worry about once I leave the office. I have to sign off on charts like a doctor would have to sign off on their charts. Worry about the responsibility of the whole practice as a whole.
Got it.
Again, I'm a extension of the doctor, but as a PA, I have a more work family life balance in a sense.
And I love that because healthcare is already stressful enough.
It is.
So
It
it's good
is.
to be able to care for
Mm-hmm.
people, or
Mm-hmm.
as you say, your own panel of patients.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
good to care for your own panel of patients. I learned something new today,
Mm-hmm.
but still go home and have a life and
Yes.
enjoy the fruits of your labor,
Yes,
so
and
to say.
that's what I value, versus again, versus becoming a doctor. And again, this does not I don't want anyone to deviate from who wants to become a doctor, deviate from that path is a passion. But for me, I valued more still seeing patients, still practicing medicine, but still having a family life. Still I wanted to travel and have children and do different things outside of medicine, which,
Mm-hmm.
and as a PA or NP, I believe that can afford me those opportunities in
I
life.
love that. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like also from what you're saying, it also allows you, I know providers, well, you're a provider, like a
Mm-hmm.
doctor
Yes.
can still work at multiple places at once, but
Mm-hmm.
because you have the freedom of
Mm-hmm.
schedule, I feel like it affords you more opportunity to work in multiple places.
That's correct, and that's a good. It's funny that you mentioned that. As a physician assistant versus a doctor, for instance, once you become a doctor, let's say you become a doctor, you specialize in cardiology,
Mm-hmm.
then that's what you're practicing, cardiology. You manage and treat patients with cardiological issues.
Mm-hmm.
Versus as a PA, right now I'm working as an urgent care physician assistant. If tomorrow I decided, you know what, I want to work in orthopedics or cardiology or pulmonology,
Wait a
I
minute.
can I have the ability to,
So you can be greedy.
I can be greedy. I can be greedy. So one of the beauties about becoming a PA, which kind of, I guess, it kind of more, it kind of pushed me towards the PA profession, is that I have the luxury of jumping from specialty to specialty, learning different specialties. I don't have to go back to school and take another boards to specialize in this specific
That's
field.
awesome.
Yeah,
So technically, your career is ever evolving.
it is. It is.
And you know what I love about what you just said?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, my only knowledge of medical field, even though I
Mm-hmm.
am the daughter of
Mm-hmm.
a primary care physician,
Okay.
but my only knowledge of, don't judge me,
Mm-hmm.
is Grey's Anatomy.
Grace. Nothing
So
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
so
that.
Grey's Anatomy, they have like, it's mostly
Mm-hmm.
around what they call the residents.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
technically, you are a lifelong resident because
Yes.
you're always going from different
Mm-hmm.
specialty to
Mm-hmm.
different specialty.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really great. Like I said, and you learn a lot in a sense. I think we're like the jack of all trades. I always compare physician assistants like that. And again, even with me, my own personal profession, as far as a PA, I specialize in primary care when I first became a PA.
Hmm.
Then I did a little bit of emergency medicine.
Love that.
And then now I'm doing urgent care. Now I'm thinking of perhaps doing dermatology, you know? So there isn't a patient that walked through this door that I haven't seen, managed, treated. I mean, being a PA, like I said, because I've have experience in primary care, urgent care, emergency medicine, pretty much I've seen anything from cardiology to dermatology to orthopedics to neurology. So I'm kind of like in that mesh where as a doctor, if I do cardiology or orthopedics, that's all I know in a
Yeah.
sense.
But you
So,
know what I like? Not to cut you off, I'm
mm-hmm,
sorry, but you know what I like about what you just said?
mm-hmm,
It also, because in the beginning you mentioned how you wanted to be able to travel. So
yes,
basically, you will always have a job because if you move to a town that is in
mm-hmm,
need of a dermatologist,
yes,
you could do that.
I can do
If they're in
that.
need of cardiology, you
Yes,
can do
you
that.
can do that
So
absolutely.
during COVID, when we
Mm-hmm,
were in need of like emergency
mm-hmm,
providers,
mm-hmm,
people who specialize in, I think it's I don't remember what it's called again. Grey's Anatomy is failing me
mm-hmm.
at this point, but I know trauma.
Trauma. There you go.
You could have been a trauma PA.
Absolutely. PAs work in different aspects of medicine. They do trauma, emergency medicine. So you'll find PAs pretty much in every aspect and genre of medicine.
I love that.
You know,
I just learned something amazing. And I'm telling you,
yeah,
I was raised by a
a
primary care
primary care
person,
person.
and I work in healthcare, and I still didn't know all of that. So
Uh,
I'm sure viewers will thank you so
yeah,
much for
no, of
this.
course, I'm happy to clear that up, and I'm hoping maybe in the future that PAs will get more recognition. You know,
I hope so too.
I think because not everyone know what a PA is. We commonly get mistake as either doctors or medical assistants. You know,
Yeah. And
um,
there's a clear line between the two. You guys are not,
yeah,
you closer to a doctor
yeah.
than you are to a MA.
To MA, exactly. So we're think of us we're allied doctors in a sense. We're mid-level practitioners, and like I said, the only distinction between PAs, NPs, and MDs or doctors rather is that an MD, like I said, they cover pretty much they manage the ship in a sense, so we're an extension of the doctor in a
Got it.
sense.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna, and another thing I want to say too, because at first in my mind I thought
Mm-hmm.
a PA didn't have so much schooling. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
understanding correctly, it's 4 years plus another 3 to 5 years from what you said, depending on which program you enroll into.
No, so it's 4 years of college,
Uh huh.
and then after which, depending on what physician assistant program you apply to, it could be additional 2 to 3 years.
Got it.
So I have a 4 year degree in biology, and then I went on to be got a bachelor in physician assistant studies and a master's as well, because my
Oh, so
program was a
you could
dual.
also
Yeah, so I
okay.
have a dual degree in physician assistant studies and in public health.
Okay,
So
smarty
my
pants.
yeah, so thank you. So I guess I'm an overachiever in a sense,
You
but
cannot overachieve in healthcare. We need you to
yes, we
be
do, we
top
do.
notch.
There you go, there you go.
Top
And
notch.
toughest thing I did academically, but it's worth it. I would do it 1,000 times over again,
You know
honestly.
what I like about yours? Because I know people, there are a lot of people who like sciences. I'm not one
Mm-hmm.
of those people. I'm going to say this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sciences, you want to kill me today?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me to start studying science,
Couldn't do it.
biochemistry. Listen, little
Mm-hmm.
joke, side note.
Mm-hmm.
In high school, my
Mm-hmm.
mother was my substitute biology teacher.
Really.
Everybody got an A in her class except for
Mm-hmm.
me. She gave me a B minus. So
That's cruel. That's
that's
cruel.
how bad I am in
Gotcha.
science. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going home with the professor and she's
Yeah.
tutoring me,
Oh
and
my
I only
goodness.
managed to get a B minus. That tells you
Oh.
everything you need to know.
Oh my
And
goodness.
everyone else got an A. That's how great of a teacher she was, but she
Yes.
still couldn't get through to
She
me.
could have get. That's so bad.
But now that I know that PA
Yeah.
exists, maybe I would have ended up in the medical field if I knew that I
Yeah.
could learn but not spend so much time in
Yes.
school
Of
and still be
course.
efficient
Still be
and caring
efficient.
for people. I
Absolutely.
might have been a PA.
Yeah, you could have. Yeah, you can still do it. You can still do it.
Antonio, stop blaming me, child. I will not still do anything,
We need
okay?
more PAs. We know. I'm biased. I'm biased. I
Listen,
know.
you need more PAs. I'm already doing my part. I'm recording Hey Fween. Everybody who is watching this video right now,
Yes.
listening to it as a
Yes.
podcast, please go
Yes.
register as a PA. See, I
Become a
did my
PA.
part.
Yes.
I did my part. I did
Let's
my
fight the
part.
good fight. Become a PA.
I did my part.
Yeah, but hopefully in the future we'll get. Like I said, I'm hoping that as the future comes about, hopefully sooner than later, we'll have more. I guess more autonomy in a sense, more recognition in
Mm-hmm.
medicine. Everyone knows what a nurse is, everyone knows what a doctor is, but PAs, what's that? So I always have to reintroduce myself. Hi, I'm Mr. King. I'm one of the physician assistants here. And they all end up saying, "Doctor, can you prescribe?" Well, you're a doctor, but I have to
Mm-hmm.
correct them. No, well, so it's always a struggle having to educate a patient on what I do, what my roles are, things that I can do in a sense.
Let me ask you something. If somebody calls you, let's say you keep educating me, like,
Mhm.
no, I'm not your doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can call you a provider, but
Mm-hmm.
and I keep saying doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, no, physician assistant. If you stop correcting me, can you get
Mm-hmm.
in trouble for that? If you let me just keep calling you doctor?
No, I wouldn't say you can necessarily get in trouble for it in a
Okay.
sense. So I've actually, when I first graduated and I was seeing my first few patients, I kept having to correct patients, but not necessarily I'll get in trouble. I would just say, listen, just call me Mr. King. You
Got
don't have to
it.
call me doctor. But no, I don't think there's any situation where you'll get in trouble as long as I don't acknowledge myself as doctor. I won't come in the room and say, listen, I'm Dr. King. That's one of the things that you don't want to mistakenly do.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap up very soon. But you told me
Mm-hmm.
all the amazing things about being a PA,
Of
but
course,
let's
of
keep it
course.
100, right? We're from
Okay.
Brooklyn. Let's keep it 100.
We'll give it 100.
What do you not like about being a physician assistant?
What I don't like, that's a good question. I would say maybe in my earlier career, the autonomy in a sense, where some doctors, and not just doctors, but certain facilities, they really don't know what a PA does, our scope of practice, what we can do, so they don't know how to properly utilize us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and usually in my young career, I was kind of limited as far as what things they would allow me to do. So if I had to say, I would say maybe certain restrictions on what I can do as a provider, even though we were trained and, experienced in that specific field. So I would say that in a sense. And maybe I feel like we can get paid more. I think.
Listen, we all want a couple extra funds.
Of course.
I want it.
Benjamins,
Yep.
So no, I'm not asking for a salary of an MD, but I think PA are so vital and pivotal in medicine that I feel that and MPs as well. I feel that we are due for heighten the cap as far as what we can do.
You're right because what you said was very interesting, because it sounds like that it's not just the patients who are confused about PAs, but even within your own realm, providers might be, I don't want to say they're confused, but they're confused.
Yeah, of course. They're not like, what's a PA? Like, even I've never used a PA. So, but I think as time go on, even now that PAs, we're starting to make that traction. But even now, I believe that even in certain hospitals, we have certain floors that are completely ran by PAs.
I love that.
Yeah, if you go to urgent care, most urgent cares you're not going to see an MD, you're mostly going to see a PA or NP in a sense.
Well, I hear your doorbell, so some patients are trying to come in to see you, so I'm going to wrap up. But before I go,
yes,
I know you love what you do, because I actually found you on social media.
Oh.
You are the funny physician assistant on social media.
Yes.
So I guess the people want to know, do these things really be happening that you're showing on these reels? Do people really do act like this, Antonio?
That's a good question. So I started my social media page maybe a couple years ago, and certain cases are factual. Most are really fabricated. I do it again. I love what I do. It's just a comedy and a humor in medicine, but there are certain situations where, I think I had one skit where I asked a patient, well, have you been taking your medication? Mm-hmm. They said, yes, I only prescribe a month, and they're coming to see me 3 months later when I only gave them a month's supply. Those are just the frustrations, but, we find comedy in it. But not all of my skits are factual. They're more fictional, just comedy. But yes, they are. In medicine, you can never run out of material, because I can give you these stories every day.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Antonio. I didn't know medicine could be so funny until I skedaddled onto your page. Okay.
Well, I appreciate it.
My favorite one is this. Well, I don't know. By the time this airs, it might be all the way down, because you post often.
I do post
and
often.
a lot. But there's a skit about a couple or something who came to visit, and they're supposedly like a lesbian, and one of them's pregnant. So that made my day.
Funny one, yes. Things like that do happen.
I love that for you.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Antonio. Okay? I followed you already when we started. Good. But do tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, please. King Scholar _ 1006. That's my Instagram. Please follow.
Okay, 006. Okay, James Bond. All right, Antonio. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to your patients.
Of course. Thank you for
having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Okay.
Bye, friend.
Bye, friend.
Through laughter, through struggle, through highs and lows. This is the heart that healthcare knows. Oh, hey Fween, hey Fween, come close, lean in, hear the scene. Let's listen, let's learn, let's feel the beat. The real side of care, that's the key. Yeah, that's the key.